Developing today, Prince Harry's shock threat to Prince William as he plans a showdown in the United Kingdom this week. Now, of course, I'm disgusted by this, but not at all surprised, because for all of Harry's talk from his team and the so-called peace summit, what this man sets out to do at every possible interview is overshadow the royal family, trample over their good work, and try and make his brother and his brother's wife, Catherine, the Princess of Wales, look bad. Which is why Charles, who is quite rightly spending some time commemorating and marking the fact that it is exactly 3 years since his ascension to the throne, needs to hold firm.
Developing fast, Prince Harry's freshly padded UK itinerary is being read inside palace corridors as a gauntlet thrown at the heir. What began as a short visit has quietly stretched into a 4-day swing, with a headline stop at a Nottingham community studio and a splashy donation announcement, timed right across Prince William's busy week. No palace coordination, no courtesy calls, just cameras, handshakes, and a solo spotlight. Advisors are reading the overlap as an implicit threat to undercut William's program, outflank his diary, siphon the lenses, and dare the heir to react on home turf. The message between the lines, "I can still do the work without your blessing."
But details of exactly what Harry is doing has emerged from Shooter Scoop on Substack, who writes, Prince Harry's latest move has Buckingham Palace buzzing. The Duke of Sussex has quietly stretched his upcoming trip home into a 4-day tour, with a packed schedule that insiders say looks like a deliberate challenge to Prince William. The centrepiece will be a quasi-royal engagement at a Nottingham community recording studio where Harry plans to announce a major donation to children in need. This isn't a quick stop, it's a statement, one royal aide tells Shooter Scoop. Harry showing Britain he can still do the work without needing palace approval. The timing couldn't be trickier. Kate Middleton is still recovering, William's calendar is overloaded, and now Harry is grabbing cameras, shaking hands and reclaiming attention. William believes Harry thrives on drama, says a longtime courtier, and this feels like provocation. But Harry's friends fiercely defend him. Harry's never been about protocol, one close pal explains. He's about people, service, connection. Whether or not William likes it, Harry isn't going to stop. Well, we know that. Every extra day in Britain ups the stakes. This isn't just a visit, says another insider. It's a message. Harry still sees himself as the prince of the people. Well, look, Harry, you might see yourself as the prince of the people, mate, but that is not how the people view you. And you're going to have to get your head around that. And we know what you're doing, because this is actually a very busy week for Prince William, who has engagements on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. But of course, Harry's new little propagandist, Charlotte Griffiths from the Mail on Sunday, was sent out to GB News to sort of explain why this was in any way appropriate. Watch.
Would love to sort of do royal events, have his kids here being Prince and Princess Archie and Lily, but that's never going to happen in a million years. But I think he's quite realistic. I think he just literally wants to get them in the country. They haven't been in the country since June 2022, I think, from memory.
Wow.
And, I think it's kind of crazy. He's just, how has he let it get this far? And I think he's just coming to realise that. He's just thinking, I want my kids to meet somebody from my side of the family, rather than just the Californian, crowd that they hang around with. So I think just that basic need needs to be met first, then who knows what might happen in the future.
That basic need needs to be met. She's talking about security, which he's not going to get, and there's been a whole court case about it, okay? But Hello Magazine, a source to Hello Magazine tells us, Harry's in a really good headspace. He's really looking forward to seeing everyone from his patronages face to face. He's really positive about coming back to do all the stuff he loves, which includes, by the way, apparently announcing a substantial donation to children in need. And Hello quotes a source saying Harry may not be able to see his father at all, as if it's his choice, not the king's. I mean, Angela Levin, you messaged me and you just said Harry is dangerous, and I think he is proving that today.
I think he's very dangerous as well. One of the things he said to the king. Now, if you really want to please someone, you've had an argument with them, you have to get softer, you have to give in, you have to apologise. But he's done the absolute opposite. They've had an argument, the king's aides and his aides discussing about where they're going to go. Now, Harry said, without a doubt, he's absolutely determined they're not going anywhere near a royal home. They're going to go somewhere where it's different, where nobody is there. We can talk. Now, that is a nonsense, and anybody with any intelligence can see through this. One, he doesn't want Camilla to come because she always listens in, because she's there to support the king, and he can't bear it because she's down to earth and clever. And the other thing is that if he starts shouting at him, which is what he's done most of the time since he's come back to see him, he might be ill. The day was suggested was Wednesday because Harry's got a few minutes and the king is possibly going to London to have his cancer treatment, which he has regularly. Now, is he thinking for himself or is he thinking for the Charles? Easy. It's about himself.
Well, yes, and
So
also, Angela, the other thing that the other thing he didn't factor in is that I'm pretty certain that Charles will not actually be having his cancer treatment, did not actually have his cancer treatment this week on Monday. Now, I know that that is something that had been predicted because that was usual, but of course, Monday marks the 3-year anniversary of him acceding the throne, becoming king. So my belief is he has actually postponed the cancer treatment so that he can be with Camilla, because he always commemorates the anniversary of his mother's death privately.
Yeah, that's perfectly right. But the other things that he insists on, I mean, the arrogance is beyond anything. I mean, he was called as sort of quasi-rural, but it's actually absolutely appalling. One, he wants his father to promise that he will pay entirely from his own pocket a 24/7 protection. Now, for 4 of them. Now, that's never going to happen, is it? That's nonsense. The other one is that Buckingham Palace takes over dealing with the press and photographers to stop anything bad happening to him and Meghan. Is that going to happen? No. And the worst one, or the biggest one, or the most ridiculous one, is Meghan has to be HRH. And that means that you can curtsy to them and bow to them, and that puts you up a rang or 2. Now, she really wants that. He really wants that for her. But what nonsense. I haven't heard anyone to be so rude about what they had. That mocking thing she did for Netflix. When she bent right over and looked all sweet and said, "I'm so sorry," and that was disgustingly rude. And she's also said, that's the thing. And she's also said that having a title doesn't bother her at all. She's much beyond that, which she does about a lot of things that she really wants.
Insiders say the playbook is deliberate, friendly outlets pre-briefed, photo ops stacked back to back, and a hard push to frame the trip as service, connection, people, not protocol. At the same time, there's pointed refusal to de-conflict with the royal schedule, a norm every working royal observes to avoid stepping on the heir's news cycle. Sources add that Harry has signaled if the palace won't meet on his terms, he'll keep running high-visibility moments that eclipse William's engagements. It's less olive branch, more pressure campaign, optics used as leverage.
Now, why should she have anything like that, HRH? She's worked 72 days with the royal family. She hates us. She doesn't like anyone in the royal family. She doesn't want to come to London. And what is she going to do? Is she going to do things that are suggested and walk behind Catherine? And that's the hierarchy? No, she's going to do nothing. So what is Harry doing? He's actually killing what he wants to come alive to. I mean, And I think that that's nonsense. And I think it's just to get a lot of attention, because he's never going to win on those ones. But if he had took his father to a small place where they're just by themselves, which I know is not going to happen, but it's a way to shout and scream and do all that. And I think that, it's desperately unhappy. And the things that he's going to, one of them is, I went to the Nottingham, and I was with him twice. And it's an area that's St Anne's, which is very poor. And he went in there to talk to young people, teenagers, who'd been thrown out of school, thrown out of everywhere. And he wanted to help them. And he did very well, because he talked to them really well. And I was surprised. When I went there first before him, people said I couldn't care less about him, but in more rude words. But when he came in, he was making them laugh, and they all wanted photographs with him. And that was right. And then suddenly, when Meghan came along, boom, nothing. And the man who's given his life to do this with these difficult children, he was devastated, because Harry just left him. So if he's going round the next few days to say, oh, hi, here I am again, I don't think he's going to get a very good response, actually, because he left this man with no money, because he gave money, and with not that feeling that you get someone special in who can do well. So I'm very sure that that's going to be difficult for him.
Well, yes. And Angela,
Invictus...
the other thing that has just been completely forgotten, is the BBC interview. So I just want to remind everyone what Harry said literally a matter of months ago, because trust me, the royal family haven't forgotten. Watch.
There have been so many differences between me and some of my family. This current situation that has been ongoing for 5 years with regard to human life and safety is the sticking point. It is the only thing that's left. Of course, some members of my family will never forgive me for writing a book. Of course, they will never forgive me for lots of things. But, there is... I would love reconciliation with my family. There's no point in continuing to fight anymore. As I said, life is precious. I don't know how much longer my father has. He won't speak to me because of this security stuff. But it would be nice to reconcile.
I mean, then that wasn't all. He then made it clear that he was using his wife and his children as a bargaining chip, and they would not be returning.
I can't see a world in which I would be bringing my wife and children back to the UK at this point. And the things that they're going to miss is, well, everything. I love my country. I always have done.
Well, there's been a mega U-turn, because of course Harry knows that he effed up massively in terms of the court case. So now Roy Anika, the royal editor of the Sunday Times, has been briefed that Harry wants to come home much more, and bring his family home with him. No thanks, we're okay. But I've got to take you through this because it's extraordinary stuff. So she writes, since leaving the royal fold for America 5 years ago, the Duke of Sussex has had his rare visits to the UK dominated by the angst of battles with his family, the media and the government. This week, Prince Harry is determined to press the reset button to try to change that negative narrative during a 4-day visit, his longest trip back since Queen Elizabeth's death. He will again travel solo without his young family. After losing his battle with the Home Office after his level of security, he reiterated that he does not believe it is safe, as we just saw. But those close to Harry say he will not give up hope on bringing them here. There is now an acknowledgement by the Prince and his camp that pressing the nuclear button of a public battle with His Majesty's government and courts was not the wisest idea. A case which is reported to have cost Harry more than £1 million. he will now pursue a quieter under-the-radar approach. Those close to the prince say the government should expect private lobbying from the prince on the matter to continue. A friend said he's not given up hope on bringing his family back to the UK. He wants to be able to show his children where he grew up. He wants them to know their family here. He really would like to come back to the UK much more. Now, I have to say here that this is the absolute lunacy of Prince Harry's strategy, because you can't lose a court case. You can't take your father to court, lose a court case, put your whole family through some hell, and then once you've lost, say, oh yeah, that was a mistake, so I'm just going to go back to private lobbying. No, you're an adult. There are consequences to your decision, and you lost. You had your ass handed to you. But this goes on. This piece of propaganda, and it really goes on. The prince's friends say he is going to have some fun this week. Oh, I'm so glad. I'm so glad Harry's going to have some fun. Harry's previous default setting of glowering in courtrooms will switch to what he does best: supporting and championing children, young people, the military, and rolling his sleeves up with his charities and patronages. Honestly, how could you write this with a straight face? On Monday, the 3rd anniversary of his grandmother's death, he will be in London for the World Child Awards. On Tuesday, he will be in Nottingham for an engagement. On Wednesday and Thursday, he will attend private receptions. Harry's itinerary, and then wait for it, which will be covered by select media considered friendly towards the prince, so propagandists, is said to be jam-packed with hardly any downtime, which raises the still unanswered question hanging over will Harry and the king meet? Charles and Harry have not seen each other since February last year. The king, who is at Balmoral and still receiving regular treatment, is known to miss his son, but a newspaper headline last week declaring Harry to meet Charles, this was the Daily Mirror, was wishful thinking. In fact, as of last weekend, no meeting between father and son was scheduled. That may or may not change in the coming days, but if a meeting happens, there is unlikely to be any public post-match analysis from either camp. Friends of Harry say the ball is firmly in the royal family's court. He's made it absolutely clear he wants a reconciliation with his family. It's on them now. Oh my God, what arrogance. But those in royal circles see it differently and wish Harry would stop making such public pleas. His unwise choice of words about Charles's health and repeated suggestion that the king should have intervened in his security battle, something the monarch would never consider given his constitutional role, have not helped Harry's cause. As a friend of the king tells me, the water is still pretty chilly on that front. It is understood there is currently no direct communication at all at the moment between father and son. One thing that is certain is there will be no meeting between Harry and the Prince of Wales. The permafrost between the estranged brothers shows no sign of thawing. Harry has rejected offers from the king to stay at Buckingham Palace, and the hotel bills mount up. And Harry, oh my God, listen to this, just as predicted, thinking about his next commercial venture. Those close to him say it will not be a sequel to Spare or another tell-all Harry and Meghan Netflix documentary. His next project to boost the Sussex coffers will be a social enterprise with a social conscience. And they say the meeting, the Peace Summit, was to open the lines of communications and avoid a repeat of the palace being blindsided by surprises like Harry's BBC interview and diary clashes. No such attempt has yet been made to open lines of communication with his brother's team, and Harry's engagements this week will clash with William and Kate. A source close to Harry says at the end of the day, as he's no longer a member of the institution, he doesn't feel bound to deconflict his diary with the institution. Well, why the hell bother to share your diary then? This just sums Prince Harry up. All of this briefing to Roy and Nika sums up why the royal family absolutely must not even countenance bringing this guy back into the fold whatsoever. I mean, Angela, could you believe the front of that guy to brief to the Sunday Times? Oh, it's on them now. It's on Charles now. No. All of this is on you. All of your behaviour, Harry, including going on television just a few months ago and saying that about your father and the security and suggesting that the royal family actually wanted to kill you. That is all on you. This is all on you.
Courtiers are blunt off record, calling it a knife to the heir's schedule, a calculated squeeze on William's standing as the visible face of the monarchy, while Catherine recuperates and the king manages treatment and milestones. William, they say, sees drama as the point. not a byproduct. And yet the palace can't simply swat it away. Agreeing to a face-to-face risks validating the tactic, refusing one hands Harry another headline. That's the bind. Every move shifts the spotlight Harry's way unless the institution stays disciplined and keeps its cadence.
I think he knows that very well. I think this is a cunning way of trying to make the king look bad and his brother look bad. I think he knows exactly what he's doing. He's not that stupid. And if they don't see him, then all the journalists or whoever have actually said, oh, he wanted to be back again. He said so many times. But then he's ticked it, and that they should know that they should listen to what he's doing because he's more powerful than they are. That's what I think it is. It's deliberate, spiteful nastiness. That's why I'm so worried about them going into a place where it's not royal, where they haven't got aides, because he can win it if he's there by himself, shouting and saying, I want to stay here. I think he's dangerous. I think it is very dangerous. Anyone with any common sense would not speak like that. As I said just earlier, that, if you want to get close to somebody who you've had huge arguments with or said the wrong things, like, I don't know how long you're going to live, you absolutely want to bless them and be kind and say, I'm so sorry, but he doesn't. He's piling on and on more and more difficult things. And I think this is absolutely done determinedly by him with his team so that they look bad and he looks okay.
Yeah, very good point, Angela. By the way, the mainstream media, Angela, finally catching up to you and your revelations here on Outspoken many months ago now about all of the, how do you describe it, Angela? Friction, I guess, behind the scenes at the Invictus Games, and the fact that there's actually now a lot of pressure behind the scenes on the Invictus Games for Harry to actually quit because they think he's a bad thing. Now, you were ahead of the curve on this, Angela. As I say, you reported this many months ago, but it's interesting, isn't it, that the Daily Mail are now reporting this too?
Yeah, pretending it's their idea, is it? Or they're mentioning me.
Always. That's what they do.
Yes. Well, I do have contact there. And actually, if you work out what his plan is again, this very careful plan, you will know that it's equally dangerous. He's talking about something 2 years ahead, which is fair a bit, but not to go on and on about it, because we don't know how anybody aged in their late 70s who's not well can be around in 2 years. That's what you don't know. So you don't start pressing them to say that they're coming and all that. The other thing is that Meghan has said that she didn't want to come to the country again ever. But she has actually said that if she's really wanted, she'll think about it. But that means that she will come and she will give a speech, or all the speeches, and she will walk in front of people who've been taking part in the games. And if King Charles was there, it would be very humiliating for him to listen to Meghan telling all these soldiers, former soldiers, how they should be and get well, which she's done twice now, and they can't bear it. I've had some of them email me and say, she knows nothing about it. She comes in short shorts to walk in front of us. It's absolutely disgusting. It spoils the whole thing for them. And she can't just say that. So he's got to protect his father, but he won't. So this is another way of making his father look silly. So he's crossed to about other members of the royal family, but that's not quite so important as his father. And if that happens, the way they're dealing with Invictus Games in this country is to make money. They've asked for masses of money for Meghan's clothing, for a smart hotel, and they can't always afford it, so they're getting very upset. And several of them have said that they're using this not as an Invictus Games, but to show off and show off Meghan. So that's why they're actually talking about it, and will find some way for him not to come, or not have the games in this country. That will be very sad, but I think that a lot of people will be relieved, because it's so dirty, it's horrible, nasty, sneaky. And I think you don't want that when you're actually trying to show how people who have fought for this country were doing so well.
Indeed, Angela. Very controversial claim over the weekend from Aseem Malhotra. He is now an RFK advisor, but was very good at blowing the whistle on lots of the COVID madness over the past few years. He was at the Reform UK Party conference, and look at this headline, claims the COVID vaccine gave the royals cancer. He said, "We have several published mechanisms of how the mRNA vaccine can increase the risk of cancer," confirmed by Stephen Hatfill. This is also supported by one of Britain's most eminent oncologists, Angus Dalgleish, who is happy for me to share today that he believes it is highly likely members of the royal family developed cancer because of the COVID jab. Now, Angela, do you feel as if this was appropriate to be said at the Reform UK conference?
No, I don't think it's appropriate to do that, because it puts it into a whole new time machine, doesn't it? It's something I'm very worried about, COVID, and having not been tested properly, and therefore people have suffered a lot. But I don't think that's to do at that time. I mean, there could so many other things that's going wrong with the country that I don't think we all want to panic about this, especially that there is COVID problems going around at the moment. And that's medical stuff, isn't it? It's not actually trying to get the country better and
yes, but as you're
together.
pointing out, one of the issues, I guess, it was also one of the reasons that, I mean, I have no doubt that I'm sure there were issues like that, but one of the issues also was because the NHS was basically shut down and it became like the COVID health service. Lots of people weren't getting their usual checks, although you'd imagine the royal family probably were, but who knows? I mean, obviously, it's a very difficult thing because we don't even know for sure. We don't even know for sure that members of the royal family took the jab. They may have said they did, but you just never know this for sure. But it's certainly an interesting one, and it has sparked a lot of debate. But of course, I'd never trust the mainstream media debate on this either, because they just want to make out that, oh, everything was totally fine with what happened over COVID.
Zoom out, and the stakes are bigger than a crowded diary. If this becomes the new normal, solo quasi-royal tours time to the heir's calendar. The crown faces a constant PR knife fight with its own prince. The smarter route for the firm is consistency and quiet strength. The risk for Harry is that the public reads the gambit as performative and punitive, not purpose-driven. Your call. Is this a rightful bid to reconnect with Britain, or an unmistakable threat to William's role by flooding the zone on the same weeks? Drop your take below, tap like if you caught the power play, and subscribe for straight-shot royal coverage without the noise.